And welcome once again to the PTZ, the Political Twilight Zone, and I'm here with...
Morgan Brittany.
And Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2021, and I just don't know what we're going to talk about, Morgan. There's just nothing happening in the news whatsoever right now.
I tell you, isn't it just boring? We're 11 days in and nothing's happening.
That's right. You know, we were
or 12 days in. I don't know how many. We're almost 2 weeks in. I don't know. But nothing's happening out there. Just so boring. No news, no nothing.
That's right. The first 5 days were really good. I thought maybe it was smooth sailing. And then, Well, did you have a nice Christmas and New Year's?
Yeah, it was nice. It was quiet where I was out in California, but you know, everybody's locked down, so nobody was allowed to pray, nobody was allowed to sing, nobody was allowed to go to church. Kirk Cameron did, though. Kirk Cameron held sing-alongs at the mall, and it was a protest.
Wow.
And it was wonderful. It was wonderful and uplifting. It was great.
Who would imagine that Christmas songs would be part of a protest?
That's the only way he could get to do it legally without them arresting him and all the people.
Wow.
Yeah, he got around it, and tons of people came, and people sang, and they said they were so uplifted, and he was doing it all over California, which was great.
Wow. Well, we had a nice Christmas here. We actually had Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. We had a nice little snow, about 2 inches. So that was nice. Oh, wait, I realized something, Morgan. I can't say that. I can't say the word snow because that would imply white privilege, would it not?
Oh, you're right.
So,
you're right. Can't do that anymore. Nope.
Strike that from the record. That's even more politically incorrect than the word Christmas now, I suppose.
Oh, my gosh. Really, I'm going to have to get a dictionary before very long with all the politically correct stuff in it so I don't make mistakes.
I think it'll be about 5,000 pages, and it changes constantly, too. So,
yeah, it does. It changes just like the genders change, you know?
Right. That's right. Well, let's get into the news. All kidding aside, last week was probably one of the most chaotic weeks in the history of this country, at least in our lifetime, it seems like. What are your thoughts on what happened in D.C. last week?
Well, I was watching it on television, and I saw Rudy Giuliani speaking, and he was very, passionate and powerful, and people were enjoying themselves. And I saw lots of, the cameras went around the crowds, and you could see people were just very energized. I didn't see any anger. I didn't see any violence. I didn't see anything like that. And Donald Trump's speech, fine, very, very powerful, very, very strong, very patriotic. He didn't say anything wrong. And then just out of nowhere, this chaos happened, and people were breaking windows, and then when you looked at some of the close-up pictures, you saw things that were not quite right, like the Capitol Police opening the doors and letting people in, and I mean, it was very, very, very confusing, but the left didn't waste any time, no time, not even a nanosecond before this was 9/11 all over again.
Right.
So, I really don't know what to think. I really don't.
Well, my first thought, and this still may bear out in the future, we'll just have to wait and see, is that these were, at least some of them, were radical leftists planted in with the Trump supporters to make it look like the Trump supporters were the ones doing the rioting, and because they've done it before.
Sure.
So, and there was a lady on the radio today who was telling me that she was there, or telling the audience that she was there, and that she had started to walk over to the Capitol during Trump's speech, and the Capitol Police had already let a certain number of people in, and then reclosed the doors. So, if that's true, and I'm I'm taking her on her word at this point. If that's true, though, then that tells me that something really fishy was going on, and that maybe we might not never know exactly what happened. I'm not saying it couldn't have been some Trump supporters doing that. My God, people have been bullied and pushed around. Trump supporters have for 4 years, and then on top of that, you had the COVID vaccine, where everybody's been shut up inside. It's like putting a lid on a boiling pot. I mean, what do you think is going to happen eventually? It's going to blow off steam somewhere. And I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that is one of the reasons of why it might have happened.
Yeah, so many questions arise from it, because when you start putting the pieces together, of course the media jumps to the worst case scenario, and they immediately point fingers, and they immediately say, take advantage of, it was all Trump supporters, and these people are crazy, and see these unhinged people. And that's all you hear hour after hour after hour about all Trump supporters. There were hundreds of thousands of people there, and a handful of, people that caused this problem. Now, I question, why did the mayor of D.C., when the Capitol Police went to her and they said, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of people here, we really need backup from the police force, we need a lot more security, and she denied it and said no. Wow. Why would she do that, knowing? So it's almost like they knew that there was going to be trouble. They knew that there were probably people infiltrating and starting the riots. And then, of course, like you said, it's a powder keg, and there are some people who are going to follow and do it. But to me, it was almost like it was a setup that we walked into.
Right.
And I think watching all the news reports, and I tried to flip from, CNN, MSNBC, to just see what they were saying about this. And the underlying message was, this is violence. These people are killing people. They killed, 4 people, or they did this or they did that. We have to do something about these people, and we have to really talk about the Second Amendment. That's their underlying message. And so what happens is, when you have incidents like this, it gives them the door is open for them to immediately say, okay, we can't have this anymore. We've got to take guns away from everybody. We've got to stop this. We've got to get rid of the Second Amendment. Cannot let these people be armed. And then they try to paint all of the Trump supporters and all of conservatives as crazy and unhinged and, just lunatic people. That's all I heard, were that they were just, oh my gosh. And then they'd show pictures of one guy in a whatever kind of outfit he was in, like a buffalo head or whatever. I don't know what it was, but he was dressed up in a costume. And of course, that went viral. This is what they look like. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. But yet, that was the door that opened for them. And believe me, at the bottom of this, we're going to take your guns away.
Right. And your free speech, and we'll get to that in a few minutes.
And we're going to shut you up so that you can't do this, and you can't talk. And guess what? We're also going to make it where you will never, ever try to do this again. You will never try to put somebody in office like a Donald Trump ever again. You will learn your lesson, right?
Right. And I think there's a lot of Republicans that were just waiting for this moment too, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. But I was amused by, amused probably not the right word. It was interesting to see the media and the Democrat response. Again, I'm redundant there. Media and Democrats are one and the same, which proves, just their utter hypocrisy. Number one, the Capitol Police, for whatever reason, I'm not sure of the motives, but they shot this woman and killed her in point blank range. But yet, where is the media screaming about police brutality? Not a peep out of them on that.
Not a single word.
Yes.
Nothing.
Right, because it's the Capitol Police. If they had to, they're not going to defund their police that protects them. But to hell with you in Portland or Minneapolis. If we defund your police, well, that's sorry, out of luck. Another piece of hypocrisy was the fact that that I thought about is here these people stormed into the White House. Isn't that a little bit of a parallel to people streaming across the border? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they want a lockdown in a quote fence around the Capitol building. But, if you're on the southern border and you live in Texas or Arizona, New Mexico, sorry, no
That's
fence
right.
for you.
That's right. Because it's them, and they want to be protected. And they've put up, a 7-foot fence now? They've got the National Guard. They've got thousands of National Guard troops protecting them. Why isn't that on the border? Yeah. You're right.
Right. So it's just hypocrisy all around. It's arrogance and the elitism. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a scary moment for some of these politicians that were in that building, but I don't have much sympathy for people when they totally ignored what was going on with the riots all across the country last summer and into the fall. They totally ignored it. The media didn't report on it at all, unless, now I'll take that back. There was one guy on CNN that was in front of a burning building telling everybody basically that the riots were peaceful. So when you have idiots like that on TV, it's no wonder that we're in the shape that we're in this country.
No, and it's true, because you see what went on for months and months and months all over this country, and people trying to protect their businesses, and somebody coming and shooting them in the face, like that poor man that was literally, what was he, 70 years old, an ex-policeman, and he was trying to protect something, and this kid came up and just shot him right in the, in just point blank range. And they said nothing. Right. And all this Oregon stuff, and the Antifa, and the burning, and the looting, and the defund the police, and the tearing down of statues. I mean, think what we went through for month after month after month, and nothing. Silence from Congress, not a word.
Right.
And now it's the biggest thing since 9/11, because I'm with you. I don't think violence is the right way to go. I really don't. I think it's bad, but I've been waiting for it for years. I have literally been holding my breath every time something horrible happens. I'm thinking, oh please, don't let it be a conservative. Don't let it be. I've just been so afraid of this happening, because I knew what it was going to lead to.
Right.
But you look around and you just think, well, how do people feel when their cities are being burned to the ground and they're being disrespected at every single turn? You can only push people so far.
Right. So the next thing they're doing now, of course, I think today, I haven't heard what the result was, they're trying to pressure Mike Pence into removing Trump based on the 25th Amendment. I don't think that's going to happen. But and then if that doesn't happen, then they're talking about impeachments in the House of Representatives.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: did you hear the latest report that broke about McCarthy and Mitch McConnell?
No.
Okay, now I don't know whether to believe this or whether this is all just fake news that they're trying to throw a bomb. But they're saying that this is from associates of these two people. Mm-hmm. Associates of. They're unnamed, but they're associates
of course.
And it says that McCarthy and McConnell both told these people that they think Trump should be impeached, and they're on the side of the Democrats, and they feel that the only way to get him out of the Republican Party for good is to impeach him. Now, I kind of listened to that with, wait, what? So I'm not believing it, but that was the breaking story that was all over the news. So, I don't know.
I would believe something of that of McConnell, but not McCarthy.
Yeah, same thing. And plus, they had just come out, and yesterday McConnell said, no, we can't even pick it up until after, Biden is inaugurated. We can't even go. We're not even going back into session, so we'd have to do a trial after Trump is already gone. So why would this come out today? See, that's why I think they're throwing up a false flag or something. I don't know.
Right.
I
think
know.
so.
I don't know, because I don't believe the New York Times. They've been wrong at every turn.
Well, they said the other day they reported that an unnamed source said that McCarthy told someone that Trump said he accepted part of the blame for the riots last week, and then Trump today completely denied that and rebuked it.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't believe anything that comes out of the mainstream media. These people are just they're liars. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, and here's another question I have. Mm-hmm. What was going on that Pelosi had a surrogate on the House floor for the articles of impeachment or whatever to introduce? She wasn't there. She gave it to Debbie Dingell.
I don't know. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Isn't that strange? Why? One of the most important things that Pelosi can do, and she doesn't show up?
Right.
What's going on? And you can pull it up and see where Debbie Dingell's standing there, and she's going, I am the surrogate. Nancy sent a letter to you all saying that she couldn't be here today. Now, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot happened this afternoon while I was at work.
I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I just really got. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on. 9 days or whatever, a week left of Trump's. A lot of things can happen, right?
Well, that's what a friend of mine said. Well, he's only going to be in there like 2 more weeks. This is so ridiculous. But like you said, they're doing this for a reason. They want to try. If they impeach him even after the fact, I think that prevents him from running again.
Well, I think they have to get him removed before he leaves office, though.
Okay.
He's got to be removed, and then he can never run again. Because you can't, according to Alan Dershowitz, Congress cannot go after a private citizen, which he would be. They can't. They can't do anything. So it's a moot point. I think it's desperation. I think they're grasping at anything they can possibly grasp because they're talking about they want to do this snap decision, which would deny him of defending himself or getting an attorney or due process of any kind.
Right.
They just want to go in there and say, that's it, you don't have a voice, you're out. And all the constitutional lawyers are saying they can't do that. You can't do that. But yet, they're going to. Yeah. I think, here's another theory. I could be wrong. I think the longer Trump is there, the more he's going to release on these people, the more he's going to declassify, the more he's going to, cause them grief, and they want him shut down. The more people he's going to pardon, you know what I mean? So right. They want him gone now, yesterday. They're scared to death, and I think Rush Limbaugh said that.
Right. Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next topic that we were going to discuss is the the effort since last week, particularly it's just really accelerated since the weekend, is they're trying to eliminate any avenue Trump has to communicate with the American people by suspending his Twitter account, and now by proxy, they're going after his followers. I know that Facebook, they talked about the last couple of days, has completely shut down the walk away Facebook page because it had videos of people at Patriots in there who were talking about voting for Trump and how much they love the country. I mean, God knows we can't have that. And they're going after other people too. I think, how many people did you say that they're going after to try to shut down?
Well, they shut down 80,000 as of today on Twitter. They took down 80,000 accounts.
Right.
And they purged me of about 9,000 followers.
Really?
Yeah, they just took them like within an hour. They were purged, gone. And I think a lot of it is because I was connected to people that they down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They had taken people down, so therefore I got taken down. But
right.
I mean, my page is still there. I've still got my account, which I'm really thinking maybe I don't want it anymore.
Right.
But I did notice that, and then a lot of the actors, Kirstie Alley and Scott Baio and Kevin Sorbo, every single one of them tweeted. They've taken 20,000 of my people. They've taken 15,000. I mean, they're just purging all conservatives that they can. Anybody that's connected to Donald Trump, if you followed him, you're just toast.
Wow.
And this is not. I mean, I went on some pages today, as a matter of fact, just looking for information, and I get. What do I get? I get a notice that says this page has been removed.
Wow.
And I can't go to it anymore. And YouTube, this YouTube channel's down, or gone. I was on Gab. A Parler. Parler's gone. Gab may go. I think they have a private server. They're trying to shut us up. I mean, they do not want us talking to each other.
Right. Parler, I think, is down now, but I saw something the other day. And by the way, if people want a good website to go to Citizen Free Press. That's a similar to the Drudge Report, but Drudge long ago was a traitor to the conservative cause. I haven't gone to his page maybe once or twice in the last 2 years because he's shown his true colors. But Citizen Free Press is good, and they had a article on their Parler, I think. Was that the one that was through Amazon? They are in the process of rebuilding their servers, and they will be back up and running. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Right.
I don't know about Gab, and there's another.
I don't know.
Yeah.
See that? I don't know how they're getting away with doing this, and I guess because they're hiding behind the fact that they're private companies and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, somebody had a good saying today that said there's 3 branches of government now: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly. You got that right.
Well, here's the thing, and we talked about this a little while ago among ourselves. They can do all this. I mean, it is mind-boggling. It's insulting. It's angering. It's frustrating. I mean, I'm hopping mad about it. But ultimately, this is a sign of weakness. They think that there are all these powerful people, and they are in some ways. But if your ideology was strong enough, you wouldn't have to do this. And shutting people down and shutting down dissent is a sign of incredible weakness. They do not have anything to stand on. These people are not pro-American democracy. They are socialists and, dare I say, fascist. Whether they prevail or not, I kind of doubt it. I think maybe Facebook and Twitter and YouTube might be gone as far as what conservatives do. But, there are a lot of smart people on their side that will build their own media platforms and social media platforms. And I would not be surprised if Trump is one of them that builds his own platform. There are other avenues. These people will not get away with this forever.
No, they won't. And I think, they're scared of us. They're scared of the numbers, because I remember the night of when Trump was winning the election, and big numbers. And some of the commentators were saying, wow, he's got a lot of support out there. And then when it was all over, and they said, whatever, Biden 80 million and then Trump 75 million. And every time they would say that, they'd say, yeah, but there's still 75 million people that are out there on Donald Trump's side.
Right.
So they're scared. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of what? Because we stand for something. They stand for nothing. And
right.
all they can do is intimidate and do what communists in Russia and communist China does, where they intimidate their people and make them subservient to everything that the government wants. I don't think it's going to work with the American people. It may work in Russia, it may work in, communist China, but I don't think it's going to be like that here. I mean, when John Brennan comes out and says something like, we have to do something about these people, we have to do something. I mean, what? And then he says we need them to publicly denounce Donald Trump and apologize for their malignancy. I mean, he was calling us cancerous or something.
Right.
That we have to repent for everything we do. What is he going to do? Oh, and he did say, he said we need to find out who these people are and be able to identify them in public. What does that sound like to you, John?
Wow.
That sounds to me like Nazi Germany.
Yeah. Yeah. That's scary.
And so this is John Brennan, the communist, who's on CNN, and he's saying things like, we're going to have to identify these people in public and publicly shame them. Well, I don't think that's going to go over very well.
Well, I wonder, too, the pendulum swung their way for the moment. How many, there's got to be, I don't know how many there would be, but there's got to be some Democrats out there that are looking at this and saying, wait a minute, this is just way going too far. We didn't like Trump either, but you're, saying things like that is beyond the pale, and independents too, and libertarians. There's got to be a great number of people out there. Now, whether they may be too afraid to speak up, I don't know. But it is, man, that is, I had not heard him say that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, very, very scary. Very scary. And he's not the only one. Project Veritas got a someone from PBS, the network, one of their attorneys. He got him on tape talking about, how they want to put all the children of conservatives should be taken away and put in camps. I did see that. Yeah, I mean, what? Really?
Yeah. Well, that's really something struck me about what Brennan said there. He almost couched it in religious terms, and I've been thinking a lot about this in the last couple of weeks, or last week particularly, since this happened. And before I say what I'm going to say, I'm in no way comparing Donald Trump to Jesus Christ, because nobody is Jesus Christ. But
right.
You think about, from a political standpoint, what happens to people that dare to take on the government or the state? Look at what happened. If you want to get right down to it, the reason the Pharisees and the Sadducees wanted Jesus dead is because he was a threat to their political power. Mm-hmm. He was preaching, something more powerful than they were. And he was also attacking them too. I mean, he called them whitewashed tombs and hypocrites and things like that. Now, flash forward, Donald Trump doing the same thing, not in the same style, obviously, but doing the same thing, taking on the state, and look at what they're trying to do to him. And when Brennan couches that in religious terms like that, it just brings the whole thing together in my mind. And this is all through history, this has been the case. Government always wants to get bigger and have more control, and the people, they want the people to have less influence. I don't know. Am I crazy?
No, you're not. It makes a lot of sense to me. It really does, and it's so true. And it's almost, and they try so hard. They try, and they think of every possible evil thing they can do, and you kind of have to relate. Again, I relate some stuff to Star Wars, the original Star Wars with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he gets cast down and he dies, and he says, "I will be more powerful." They may do this, but I'll be much more powerful. And I keep thinking that every time they try to knock Donald Trump to the ground, he's twice as powerful when he gets up.
Right.
So I think you're right. I really do. I think that, there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that's repeating itself.
Yeah, history has a tendency to do that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And the other thing I thought about too, the Pharisees and the Jews were not able to, with the way the Roman law was, they couldn't execute someone on their own. The Romans had to do it. So in order for them to kill Jesus, they had to make up stuff about him and tell the Roman government that Jesus was planning an insurrection against the Roman government and against Caesar. Boy, isn't that just the exact same thing as what is happening now?
Exactly.
That, and just like Trump, Russia collusion and insurrection, seditionist. I mean, it's kind of spooky, actually. I mean, the way man does things doesn't really change from one period to another. And
no, and good against evil. I mean, it's as old as the earth. I mean, what can you say? It's just I don't know. The lines have been drawn. And the thing is, it's becoming very, very crystal clear. It may have been clear to you, to me, to your audience, but I've got to say, people who never paid attention are now seeing it, and they're seeing these people and just shaking their heads going, whoa, what?
Yeah.
What? I mean, you've got, Democrat attorneys that are diehard Democrats. I mean, they are, and they're saying this is wrong. I mean, I couldn't believe the ACLU actually stood up and said, no, this is crazy. You can't do this.
Right. And there's another guy that's a diehard Democrat. I'm trying to think. Jonathan Turley.
Yeah, Jonathan Turley. Right.
And I'll say this because hopefully there are people of all political stripe listening to our podcast. If you're a radical Democrat and you're cheering this on, this shutdown, and you think that Trump deserves this or his supporters deserve this, I want to tell you, if you think that they're going to stop with us, they will eventually come after you. Victor Davis Hanson wrote an excellent article about 6 months ago about how the cancer culture will eventually come for its own. And he talked about, and I just had a thought here too. He said he was talking about the statues that were coming down. He said eventually they will run out of statues to tear down, and then they will come after live people. Well, that is exactly what we are seeing now. And if you think they're not going to come after you or your family or someone you love, if you happen to say something wrong, and like we talked about earlier, who knows what that could be, because the playbook is constantly changing, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
They will eventually try to cancel everyone. I just don't know.
Well, that's the thing, John. They think they're safe.
Yes.
And they're not. And they'll turn on them and devour them in an instant and cancel them, and they don't care. They'll step over the body.
Yeah. And it's already happened. They did it to Martina Navratilova, who came out against boys, participating in women's sports, and she was attacked. I forget exactly what she said, but the lady that wrote the Harry Potter books said something,
right?
And they went after her. So now most of these people, when it happens, most of them just bend over and grab the ankles and apologize profusely. But that's why I was very disappointed and lost a lot of respect for Drew Brees when he just said he respected the flag and was going to stand for it, and then he was attacked and he capitulated.
Well, see, that's the thing. The same thing with these big corporations. These big corporations didn't say a word about Black Lives Matter and Antifa burning and looting and doing all this, and Black Lives Matter defunding the police. They didn't say one word about it. And they, in fact, glorified it and put it on the football field and on every advertisement that I saw on television. It was always, we support Black Lives Matter. We support, and look at what they did.
Right.
These people, and they're scared because they don't want to lose the money.
Right.
But, hey.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. The NBA is so in bed with China. It's unbelievable. And for them to come out here and with their spokesman LeBron James and talk about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, while they're profiting off China, where kids are being put in camps to do work at incredibly young ages. That's just the height of hypocrisy. That's just evil. It's just unbelievable the way they have just sold out America.
Mike Pompeo said it. He said it flat out. He said, China's not a threat anymore. They're already here.
Yeah.
They've infiltrated our sports, our entertainment, everything, our government. They've got spies everywhere. Did you hear what Barbara Boxer, Barbara Boxer, a California senator, she was out here forever. And she is now a lobbyist for the Chinese surveillance company that surveils people.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, that is on the blacklist of America, of our country, saying that's on the blacklist, and she's a lobbyist. She's being paid to put their agenda forward in this country.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me.
Great?
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me.
No, me neither. I mean, her and Feinstein and Swalwell and however many others are, married to the Chinese, I don't know, but they're right. I mean, I know the studios. I know for a fact because Jack worked on Jumanji with The Rock, and he was conservative as you could get, and his cousin, all of them. Why did he flip and say, I'm backing Biden? You know why? Because he's owned by Disney. And Disney probably got to him and said, buddy, you better go out for Biden. I bet you anything, because you just don't flip like that.
Well, isn't that, I also heard some of the shoes that have his brand name in shoes, aren't they manufactured in China?
Probably. I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. Don't take that as fact. But
I don't know.
But if that's the case, then that would explain it too. So,
well, of course. They're owned, they're bought and paid for. The studios, the producers, the all these companies, they bow down to everything China says. How to make a movie, don't put anything in there that we don't like. We need to see it before you release it. If it's too pro-America, if it says anything detrimental to the Chinese, they make them change it. I mean, this is how bad it is. So, and I've literally, Anne-Marie and I both have talked to people who have escaped China and are just begging us to please wake up.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's talk about something positive.
Okay.
Trump,
all right. Ready?
Unfortunately, it does appear the Trump era, at least for now, in politics, is coming to an end. Let's talk about some of his accomplishments. In your mind, what are some of the greatest things that Trump has done?
I actually think uniting the Republican Party, uniting the people together. He had such a strong influence on people because people were being listened to. People who were overlooked, were dissed all the time. He talked to them. He listened to them. I think that was wonderful. I loved what he did with Israel, with the Middle East, with peace, with reaching out. I love that. I think he's done incredible things that they don't give him credit for. and they never will give him credit for.
Right.
And I really hope that Biden doesn't go in. Of course, Biden's not going to make the decision, but whoever goes in there, I hope they don't try to overturn the peace that we found in the Middle East. I really do.
Yeah, that would be whenever I think about Trump's accomplishment, there are a lot of them, but the peace in the Middle East is to me the most important, because, we've heard from both sides, well, particularly Democrats over all these years, well, we need to get out of the Middle East. We don't need a presence there. Well, Trump has done it, and what have they done? They tried to crucify the man.
I know.
He's also, in doing so, Trump has, with not just the Israel peace treaty, but the other things he's done, which I think will be a good thing in the long run, is he's totally exposed some on our side that we thought were one of us that are really not. The neocons, people like Bill Kristol, George Will, Joe Scarborough.
Oh, yeah.
And now, I hate to say it, I think I'll have to include Ann Coulter in that list, because she's come out totally against Trump now.
Yeah, I know. And what's his name? Jonah Goldberg?
Yeah.
He's just a never Trumper. But all these people and these representatives like Ben Sass and people like that, he's exposed, but Trump has exposed them for who they are.
Right.
Which I think it's a good thing. And honestly, if I can give hope to people that something good will come out of this, I think the swamp is going to be drained. I really do. I think that the transparency is going to, it's what is it they say? Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Yeah.
I think it's going to shine on these people and show them for who they are, because already you can see the turncoats that went against him, just trying to prove fraud in an election. That's all he's trying to do, is make people's votes count and make it legal. That's all it was. And these people are fighting that.
Yeah, and that. There's a lot of them. Oh, another one, Ed Morrissey over at Hot Air. I don't know if you know him or not.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually come out and wrote an article a couple of days ago that he's now switched to the Democrats. And I'm going to put a comment, because I go to that website quite often. I'm going to thank him, because I've been calling him a fraud, because he proposes that, as a conservative, he wants all these things. I'm like, well, Trump has done all those things. And so, these people are just, I get, like you said, it's coming to light. Trump is like a can of Raid on roaches.
Right. That's exactly right. And I guarantee you something's coming. Something is coming, and these people are going to scatter like rats, because they would not be this afraid of Donald Trump and try to get him out and try to get rid of him and try to get rid of us.
Right.
They wouldn't be so afraid if they weren't just trying to cover everything they possibly could, I just think something's coming. I really, really do.
They may be able to, what was the old song? You may run on for a long time, but God Almighty's going to cut you down. That was an old Elvis song, actually.
Yeah.
Here's a difficult question, and this is just something to throw out there that I've really been struggling with, is my thoughts about how I feel now about George W. Bush. Because I do think that he was the right man at the right time to lead the country after 9/11. But you look at the way he has reacted to Trump. Now, I know part of it's because Trump went after his brother in the election, but I don't know. I get the sense, here's what I think. I get the sense that George W. Bush is at heart a good man, but he saw the deep state and decided not to try to do anything against it. Therefore, he pretty much just went along with the flow because he knew it was too powerful. And I just think that was a cop-out.
I agree with you, because I think if you look back and you look at his father and you look at, he always was the one world order, always more of a globalist. I think that for many, many, many years, these people have been in bed with each other. the Democrats, the Clintons, the Bushes.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have. I think they pretended to hate each other, but they're very friendly now. And I think basically they all had the same agenda, that one world globalist thing, and that's where they were headed. And everything was going great, and you know, it was Barack Obama, and then it was going to be Hillary,
Mm-hmm.
and when that blew up in their face, and all of a sudden, you know, you've got Donald Trump, that just put a real wrench in their engine,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
So they didn't know what to do. But I liked Bush. I think he like you said, he was the right guy at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, I think he's one of them.
Oh, another thought I had is the, you know, well, I'll admit that after 9/11, there was an emotional attachment to defending the country that maybe clouded clearer judgment. And when I look back now on the Patriot Act, I wonder if some of that wasn't government expansionism into our lives. It wasn't necessary.
That's right. I agree.
So,
and we didn't see it because
right.
we were too, you know, concerned about safety. We were willing to go along because we trusted.
Right.
And that was our first mistake, because we learned that you got to have your eyes on these people all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And I think now people do. Now they do. And maybe that's part of the internet, you know, which more people got access to information. We learned things because, you know, you look back, even back to the 90s, there wasn't any real, I mean, there was Rush Limbaugh and a few conservative shows, but there was nothing before Fox News.
Right.
All the news was from one angle.
Yeah.
And we've really come a long way. And I think like you said earlier in the show today, I think there's some innovative, smart, brilliant people who are going to figure a way around all these big tech people, and they're going to come up with their own things that are going to be even more powerful and maybe put these other people out of business. I mean, Twitter lost, $8 billion this week?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think we've got a lot of smart people on our side. The thing that I'm hoping moving forward in this is that we all stand together and we all keep our eye on the ball and we all focus on what we need to do. And that's not violence, and that's not anger, and it's being smart, and it's being aware, and it's networking with like-minded people like we are,
Right.
getting the word out, getting information out, educating everybody you can, passing along information. And I think by doing that and creating our George Washington patriots, I think we can defeat the enemy. I really do. And I have to look at these people. I have to look at them. The Brennans and Biden and Kamala and all these people that, you know, are now going to be running, Schumer and Pelosi and all these people that are going to be running our government. We have got to stay together, and we got to watch every step and every move they make.
Right. And that starts in individual states, folks, in like particularly in some of those battleground states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia. They're going to need to do some things to get legislatures in there that won't permit the shenanigans that went on during this election cycle. That's going to have to take place. But I do think, you know, like you said, there are 75 million of us, and I think our voices will continue to be heard. And I don't think Trump's going anywhere. I think he's going to continue to be the leader of those people that support him. I don't know what form that's going to take, but I actually think it could be kind of exciting to find out. I think a friend of mine told me a few months back when it looked like Trump had lost the election that the left may wish they had just left Trump in there another 4 years, because he's going to be a more thorn in their side from outside the system than he ever would have been inside the system, because he's going to be unshackled now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why they're trying so hard to make it that he can't do anything. They want to destroy him in any way they can, and if they have to go after his family or whatever, I mean, I don't know. And if if the Democrats do pass the legislation where the Supreme Court gets packed and they make D.C. a state, and they really make it where Republicans can never win again, we have to remember, what are there, 350 million people in this country?
Right.
And only, 160 or 70 million voted? Think how many more people are out there that didn't even vote. And we don't even know how many of those are on our side. And I bet you there's a lot.
There's a lot of people out there watching, I think, that are probably not being heard. They're just kind of silently watching this. And at some point, they're going to have to make a decision. I think we're at a point where you can't sit on the fence anymore. I just saw a thing. Because the Breitbart has a banner ad that says, "Trump 2024, make votes count again."
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think if we all really, really focus on what we need to do, I think we're going to be so powerful, they're not going to be able to stop us.
Right.
They're not. Because we'll be one step ahead of them.
And that's right. And don't despair, because the future is bright, no matter what today may seem like. And we always say this at the end of our show, but God is in control. That's not just a pat statement for me. Each one of us, both collectively and individually, suffer through things in life where we can look back and say that God brought us through it. So He'll bring us through this as well. I mean, this is not the worst this country's ever faced. I imagine that the environment of the country between like 1858 and 1870 was pretty darn bad. I mean, you had brother killing brother. We're not to that point yet. I hope we never get to that point. But, so sometimes when we're going through things like what you see in the news cycle, it's so much in the news that we think this is the worst it is. We need a little perspective. So,
Yeah, and I have a lot of faith in a lot of these young people, the young people in government that are getting involved in government, like that guy that you turned me on to on YouTube. What is it, Red Eagle?
Red Eagle. Oh, he is awesome.
Yeah, young guy, and this is what gives me hope, because these are the people that are going to take over. Matt Gaetz and young guys like that, Candace Owens. These are the people that are going to carry on for us, and I think they have a great opportunity to really just lead. It's going to be like you said. We don't want to have a civil war. Like, we don't want to see anything like that. But if we are led in the right direction, and we can do this. We can do this, and we can make everything right again. Things have been bad before. They've been horrible. They went through a depression. Look, right. I was counting the things that in my lifetime that I've experienced in my lifetime, and they've been bad. And, we always come through, and there's always some kind of a shining star that leads us out of it. And, I'm waiting and not quitting and not giving up and just moving forward, because this country it's resilient and it's worth saving. And like I said, there's so many people out there that are silent, that didn't vote, that's probably the Democrats are scared of them too.
Yeah. If America goes, the world goes. And I don't mean to sound arrogant, but we are one of the last beacons of democracy and freedom that really helps keep the world afloat. And if we go, it's going to be some dark days for the whole world.
Oh yeah,
So.
that's exactly right, and they know it. They know it,
Yeah.
and they know that communist China is looking right over. They literally, communist China is just celebrating, and they want us to fall apart, and they want us to give up, and that should give us more motivation than anything.
Right.
You know, that because they will take over, believe me,
Yeah.
and that will be the world, you know, so we cannot allow that to happen.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast of the PTZ. Again, don't lose hope. There's a bright light coming our way. So I'm John Baldwin, and I'm here with...
I'm Morgan Brittany, everybody.
We'll see you next time when the aliens have probably landed on the White House lawn.
That's right. And we'll have something to talk about.
That's right. It'll be out of this world.